Long ago, in the grand kingdom of Persia, lived a young Jewish girl named Esther. Esther was an orphan. She lived with her kind cousin, Mordecai.
I cared for her like my own daughter.
Life was good in the kingdom. Mordecai worked in the palace in the capital city of Susa. He taught Esther about their Jewish traditions. They prayed to God every day. Esther grew up to be a beautiful young woman. She was known for her kindness and gentle heart.
One day, the king of Persia, King Xerxes, decided to have a grand feast. He wanted to find a new queen. The most beautiful young women in the kingdom were invited to the palace. Esther was among them.
The palace was magnificent. Esther, along with the other young women, prepared for the grand event. They were given beautiful clothes and perfumes. Esther was a little bit scared.
Be brave, Esther. God is with you.
King Xerxes was captivated by Esther's beauty and grace. She was chosen to be the new queen. Esther was crowned with sparkling jewels. She wore the finest silks and lived in the luxurious palace. However, Esther had a secret. She did not reveal that she was Jewish. Life as queen was very different. But Esther never forgot her faith or her dear cousin Mordecai. She often sent messages to him, seeking his guidance and wisdom. At the palace, there was a proud and wicked man named Haman. He was known for his arrogance and his desire for power. Haman was a high-ranking official in the king's court, holding a position of great influence and authority. He was trusted by the king and had the power to make significant decisions. He expected everyone to bow down to him as a sign of respect and submission. To Haman, this was a way to assert his dominance and remind everyone of his elevated status. However, there was one man who refused to bow down to Haman. His name was Mordecai. Mordecai was a devout Jew who believed in bowing only to God. He would only bow to God as his faith dictated. This act of defiance was not just a personal stance, but a profound expression of his religious beliefs.
This made me furious. How dare he defy me in such a manner? I could not tolerate such disrespect. I was filled with anger and hatred for Mordecai. His refusal to bow was a direct challenge to my authority and my ego. I decided to punish him, but a simple punishment was not enough. I wanted to make an example out of him, but I didn't stop there. My anger and hatred extended beyond Mordecai. I wanted to target his entire people. I planned to harm all the Jews in the kingdom because of Mordecai's faith. I wanted to eradicate them, to show everyone the consequences of defying me. I was a cruel man, driven by my desire for power and my need to be feared.
Haman went to King Xerxes with a wicked plan. He knew that to achieve his goal, he needed the king's approval. He tricked the king into believing that the Jews were dangerous. He painted them as a threat to the kingdom, using lies and deceit to manipulate the king. He persuaded the king to sign a decree. This decree was not just any order. It was a death sentence for an entire people. This decree ordered the destruction of all the Jews in the kingdom. It was a plan born out of hatred and a desire for revenge, a plan that would bring immense suffering and sorrow. Mordecai was devastated when he learned about the terrible decree. He knew he had to do something to save his people. He sent a message to Queen Esther, begging her to intervene.
My dear Esther, you are our only hope. You must speak to the king. Please reveal your identity and beg for mercy for our people. Only you can save us from this terrible fate.
Esther was terrified when she received Mordecai's message. The words on the scroll were heavy with urgency and danger. She could feel her heart racing as she read the plea for help. Mordecai, her cousin and guardian, had always been a source of wisdom and strength for her. Now he was asking her to risk everything. She knew that approaching the king without being summoned was dangerous. The law was clear and unforgiving. Anyone who dared to enter the king's presence uninvited could be put to death. The only exception was if the king extended his golden scepter to spare their life. Esther's mind was filled with the stories of those who had perished for breaking this law. No one could approach the king without an invitation, not even the queen. It was forbidden. The guards at the entrance were a constant reminder of the peril that awaited anyone who defied this rule. The king, seated on his majestic throne, was a figure of immense power and authority. His decisions were absolute, and his temper was unpredictable.
I am afraid. The fear was almost paralyzing. Esther could feel the weight of her responsibility pressing down on her. She was just a young woman thrust into a position of unimaginable pressure. The fate of her people rested on her shoulders. But I know I have to act. Despite the fear, a sense of duty and resolve began to take root in her heart. She knew that inaction was not an option. The lives of countless innocent people were at stake, and she could not allow her fear to dictate her actions. The lives of my people are at stake. The thought of her people suffering and perishing was unbearable. She could see their faces in her mind, the men, women, and children who looked to her for hope and salvation. Their plight gave her the strength to face her fears. I can't just stand by and let them perish. Esther's resolve hardened. She knew that she had been placed in her position for a reason. She had to believe that she could make a difference, that her actions could change the course of history.
Esther remembered Mordecai's words. He had reminded her that perhaps she had come to her royal position for such a time as this. His words echoed in her mind, giving her the courage she needed. She realized that her life had led her to this pivotal moment and found strength in her faith. Esther turned to her faith for guidance and support. She prayed fervently, seeking wisdom and courage from God. Her prayers were a source of comfort and strength, helping her to steady her resolve. She decided to fast for 3 days and nights. Fasting was a way to purify her mind and body, to focus her thoughts and intentions. It was a tradition that connected her to her ancestors and to her faith. She hoped that through fasting she would find the clarity and strength she needed. She asked all the Jews in the kingdom to do the same. Esther knew that she could not face this challenge alone. She needed the support and prayers of her people. She sent out a message asking them to join her in fasting and prayer. Their collective faith and unity would be a powerful force. They prayed to God for help and guidance, knowing that Esther was risking her life for them. The entire community came together in a show of solidarity and faith. They prayed with all their hearts, hoping that their prayers would reach the heavens and that Esther would be granted the strength and favor she needed. After 3 days, Esther dressed in her royal robes. The time had come for her to act. She donned her most regal attire, a symbol of her status and her determination. The royal robes gave her a sense of authority and confidence, reminding her of the role she had to play. She approached the king's throne room, her heart pounding with fear and determination. Each step was a test of her resolve. The corridor seemed endless, and the weight of her mission pressed heavily on her. But with each step she reminded herself of the lives at stake and the faith that had brought her to this moment. She was ready to face whatever awaited her. King Xerxes was surprised to see Esther standing in his court. It was unusual for anyone, even the queen, to approach the king without being summoned. The tension in the room was palpable as everyone waited to see what would happen next.
My queen, what brings you here? You know the law. Anyone who approaches the king without being summoned risks their life. Yet I see you standing here with such determination. You know you can have anything you desire. Speak, and it shall be granted.
Your Majesty, I have come to invite you and Haman to a banquet I have prepared. It is of great importance, and I humbly request your presence.
The king was pleased and accepted her invitation. He was intrigued by her request and curious to know what she had to say. That evening at the banquet, King Xerxes asked Esther again. The atmosphere was filled with anticipation as the guests dined in the lavish setting.
What is it that you desire, my queen? You have gone to great lengths to prepare this banquet. Please, tell me your request. It shall be yours, even up to half my kingdom. Do not hesitate to ask.
Esther knew this was the moment she had been waiting for. The fate of her people rested on her shoulders, and she had to be brave. She took a deep breath and revealed her hidden identity. The room fell silent as everyone awaited her words.
My king, I am Jewish. This revelation was met with gasps of surprise from those present. It was a secret she had kept hidden for so long. And Haman has tricked you into signing a decree to have my people killed. This decree, if carried out, would mean the annihilation of my entire race.
King Xerxes was shocked. He had trusted Haman implicitly and had no idea of the true nature of his advisor's intentions. He had no idea that his beloved queen was Jewish. The realization hit him hard, and he began to see the gravity of the situation. The room was filled with a tense silence as everyone awaited the king's response.
King Xerxes was furious when he learned the truth about Haman's evil plan. He realized that he had been deceived. He immediately ordered Haman to be punished for his treachery.
The king then issued a new decree granting the Jewish people the right to defend themselves. He gave them permission to fight back against their enemies. The Jews rejoiced at the news. They were overjoyed that their beloved queen had saved them from certain doom. To celebrate their deliverance, the Jewish people established a joyous festival called Purim. The word Purim means lots in ancient Persian. It refers to the lots that Haman cast to determine the day to destroy the Jews. During Purim, Jewish people dress up in costumes and have feasts. They read the story of Esther from the scroll of Esther, known as the Megillah. They exchange gifts of food and money. They also give charity to the poor. Queen Esther's story is a testament to the power of courage and faith. She's remembered as a heroine who risked her life to save her people. Her story teaches us the importance of standing up for what is right, even in the face of danger. Esther's courage inspires people to this day. She reminds us that even ordinary people can make a difference in the world. The story of Esther is a tale of courage, faith, and hope. It teaches us that even in the darkest of times, we must never lose hope. We must always stand up for what we believe in and fight for justice. The story of Esther is a reminder that one person's bravery can make a world of difference. It continues to inspire us to act with courage and conviction, knowing that even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect, changing the course of history.